Remember when I said we should be opening ourselves up to what the universe has to give us? Well, the universe gave me lots of wilted celery, a carrot because I wanted something to go with the celery, $1 bags of plums, tofu from H Mart, 2 for $2.50, so I got 4 of them. Kewpie mayo was on sale for $4, so I couldn't turn that down. Really want to point out that you need to find this version of Kewpie with like the naked bottle because the other one is made in America and you want the one that's made in Japan. H Mart also gave me salmon skin that was on sale for 50 off. So this whole packet was just $2.20. And y'all, I don't like salmon skin like that. But when the universe gives me healthy omega-3 fatty acids, I can't just be turning it down like that. The universe also just gave me parsnips from the farmer's market because everything was frozen solid. So I got 7 of them for $5. And then we got 2 pears for $1 and 3 apples for $1. So we got our fruit for the next couple of days. Now, if you want to see me make 3 meals out of this salmon skin, that's what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna start by washing the celery, let them rejuvenate a little bit in the ice cold water, and we're going to rinse out these peas that I soaked the previous night, and we're gonna make some mush again. You know, I need my base starch, my base protein. That's usually some beans and some sort of grain. So this week we're repeating the green peas and the barley, but we're not gonna season it as crazy as we did last time. No sardines this time. So for those of you who were a little bit grossed out by that, don't worry. This time, a little less gross. But it's still my kind of thing, you know? So I'm just gonna do my thing. You know how they say necessity is the mother of invention? I also think that necessity is the mother of love. So if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, which means that necessity is also the mother of love. Think about that. What I'm trying to say is that whatever the reason may be, I happen to love mush. If you don't love mush, you don't gotta be here. There's so much pretty food media out there for you to consume with happy personalities and bright sunny smiles. That is not what I'm serving up. Baby, we are going down that salmon skin hell tonight. You've been warned, and if you choose to stay, that's on you, my darling. Take responsibility for your own life choices every once in a while. I gotta say, this is some of the most fresh smelling salmon I've bought in recent memory. None of the dollar scrap bags that I've bought smells this fresh. And you know what? Bonus points for it not having any bones. It's all smooth sailing from here. So what I'm doing is giving it a quick blanch in boiling water, rinsing it out, and then filling the pot up with some clean water and bringing it up to a boil. And we're just gonna simmer that salmon really to cook through the meat and to also imbue that boiling water with some brothiness, with some salmon richness. I'm hoping that that broth will be one component that we can use in one of our 3 meals. Mostly because this much salmon skin is a lot to eat, and I don't want to have to make just one dish to eat through leftovers for the rest of the week. I want to give myself some variety, you know, for the sake of my sanity and enjoyment and play, in essence, to live. Because the celery was a little bit wilted, we're going to go through and pick out some of the leaves that need to be composted. And if at any point this starts to feel mundane and boring and just a drudge, don't let life be a drudge. Go eat some of your really super ripe plums that you bought, but maybe peel them because the skins are super waxy and you probably don't want to eat all that wax, but don't ever let anyone else tell you what to do with your life. If you want to eat that wax, you go ahead and eat that wax. Once the fish has simmered for a while and the skin and the flesh look cooked, I'm going to fish them out and I'm going to put our veggies into the pot with the broth, add in a good chunk of miso to flavor it, turn up the heat, and just let it soak through and let it soup itself. At this point, you're going to see me go through my fridge and see what I have to use in terms of flavoring. I have these peeled ginger pieces. I'm going to chop them up, mince them, and put them into the soup. I'm going to add some white pepper and black pepper because that really just kind of cleans out the salmon fattiness, fishiness flavors that are sometimes too much to handle. Let them all play together, you know? And would you look at that, it's time for another snack break. Here's our avocado chocolate mousse. In case you missed that, you can go see how easy that was to whip up, and oh my goodness, is this good. I used coffee sugar in here, and that sweetness and depth is so on point. I was not prepared for how good it was. I had to break out another clean spoon to not have to double dip my dirty spoon back in there, but goodness, I might make this again. To start on our second dish, because our first dish is that soup in case you weren't paying attention, we're going to chop up some of the salmon skins to get our stir fry started. If you're curious about the quality of your ingredients, always taste as you go, and in this case, this unseasoned boiled piece of salmon skin was so nicely unctuous. We're going to go ahead and cook that salmon down with some ginger. We're adding in some umami paste I have in the fridge along with some white pepper and black pepper, and we're going to let them all party in there a little bit with the salmon fat before we add some chopped broccoli in. We're going to add the broccoli in a single layer until they get a little bit cooked, and we're going to add in some salmon broth if that pan starts running too dry. We're adding in our broccoli in batches so that we're not overwhelming the pan with too much broccoli at once. I want to make sure there's enough room in there to stir and turn everything well. I'm adding in some hoisin sauce. Now, hoisin sauce is like sweet Chinese barbecue sauce, so if you like barbecue sauces, try cooking with some hoisin sauce sometime. Hoisin sauce has that snacky Chinese takeout flavor profile, so I think it's really lovely as an ingredient to have on hand. At this point, I noticed that Memo was stalking me. I think he smelled the salmon, so I went to offer him some salmon, but in true cat fashion, he left as soon as I went to serve him. So I dedicated myself for the next 5 minutes to keep offering him some salmon until we got him to try it, and it seems like he was really into it once he did try it. In the last 2 years, I've been pretty sick and housebound, and in this time, I became a true cat lady, and it has been a life-changing experience in so many different ways. I feel like it is transforming me for the better living with a cat. Memo has taught me a lot about relationships, because without language between us, since he doesn't speak English and I don't speak cat, I've been forced to really learn him through paying attention to other cues, body cues, behavioral patterns, just stuff that I've been ignoring when it comes to human relationships, because usually there's always this language in place to translate for us, but it's not until very recently that I realized language is a red herring so much of the time. Just because you're both speaking English doesn't mean that you actually understand what the other person is trying to say. With a cat, there's absolutely no room to pretend that we understand what the other is saying. We simply have to guess all the time, and that's really what humans are doing too. We're just guessing what the other person is saying. We're just guessing what we're trying to say ourselves. How much of you do you really understand? And in that time, my soup basically turned into veggie mush, and to really absorb all of the flavor, I added in some TVP, which is textured vegetable protein, which soaks up all of the remaining juices into this ground meat texture, and I thought it was absolutely delicious, but a little bit salty. Then I remember that we had our peas and barley cooked, so I paired them together, tasted them together, and the sodium level was perfect and the flavors really worked, but something was too chunky about the texture, because you know me, mush queen, we gotta have our mush. So we went ahead and mushed up the green peas and the barley until it was almost sticky. Oh baby, you know, that's sexy to me. Very slurpable and very hot and kind of chokes you as you swallow it, and we're gonna move on from that. Add on some nice boiled salmon and meal number 1 complete. Take a few bites and put on your finishing touches. In my case, I thought it was a little bit under-seasoned, especially because the fish wasn't salted at all, and so I added on some salt, blended it together, and voila. We're done. Moving on, Memo demands second servings, so we went ahead and served him up some more salmon, and he was delighted. And you know what? I was delighted. I've been having trouble feeding this guy. He's been throwing up almost every day of the week for the past year and a half that I've had him, but we're still here. He's doing okay. I guess he's just a vommy boy, and you know, we all have our vices. As for our second dish, we have broccoli and salmon, kind of in the style of beef and broccoli. I thought it needed a little bit more acidity, so we went in with some rice wine vinegar. I thought it was still too oily, so I decided to cook up our block of tofu. We went ahead, drained it, and Memo demanded a smell test. I think he thought it was some exciting new fish option, but we just went ahead and served him more of the salmon and he was satisfied, and we went back to cutting our tofu. I cubed it in half and then I chopped it and diced it into little squares for a little nice stir-fry bite-sized piece, and we went ahead and just stir-fried it. Added in some more chili pepper for a little bit of spice, tasted it as we went along, and we added more seasoning as we saw fit, and it's all just kind of experimentation. I wanted a stickier sauce to mimic that Chinese takeout texture, so we went ahead and did a cornstarch slurry, which is just water stirred together with cornstarch poured into the pan. Exposed to the heat, it thickens it up in about 10 to 20 seconds. Just adds a nice little silky mouthfeel to it. And one more dash of vinegar and I think we're there. I went ahead and jarred most of this up because I really wanted to eat our third dish first. So for the third dish, we're chopping up the remaining block of tofu. We're boiling it to kind of set the tofu up for success. And we're going to stir fry our chopped celery in that dry pan. That pan has a lot of salmon fat in it and a lot of salmon fond in there as well. So I wanted to let the moisture of the celery naturally lift off the fond, and we did just that, which also meant that we left ourselves with a cleaner pan to wash. So 2 birds with 1 stone, and we have our third dish. Stir-fried celery with a little bit of miso mixed in there and tofu. Sort of like a warm salad. The salmon provides nice fattiness, the tofu some lean protein, and the celery crunch. I jarred up all my food and labeled them with the date so that we can follow our FIFO first in first out rule. No leftovers should really last me beyond the week, so this is a good reminder of when to eat it all by. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to hear all the sounds of Memo meowing, stay tuned for the ASMR edit. Memo, come. It's Salmon. Come. Yeah. Come. Yeah. Maybe I give you some more? You like the leaner cuts? Fresh fish from H Mart, babes. H Mart has your fish. H Mart has salmon for sale. You and me, we're gonna eat salmon all day. Have more. Hi. Would you like more salmon? Yeah? Maybe more salmon. Maybe?
I just mopped those floors today, babes. Clean plate. It's tofu. Do you want tofu? Do you want more salmon? Yeah, maybe more salmon?